Thank you, sir. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you to David, to Tim, to Health Further for having me today. Healthcare is approaching a tsunami of data, and healthcare has four major problems to face. They're called the 4 V's. IBM created these a while ago. The first one is called volume, the amount of data we will be facing. It is estimated by Gartner and Cisco that by 2025, there will be 120 zettabytes of data created just from Internet of Things devices, like sensors and stuff, whatever's making creepy noises in the ceiling, things like that. To give you some perspective about how much data that is, 1 zettabyte is approximately all of Netflix watched over and over and over again. Currently, today, all of the data in the world, everything on your phone, on these systems, on the building management, on your computers, is only 30 zettabytes. So in just about 7 years, we are going to quadruple the amount of data from sensors alone. That is a massive amount of data for us to deal with. The second problem is a variety problem. We have a massive selection of data to work with. This is a delightful look at just the insides of one EMR system. By the way, it doesn't fit on this page. It's about 16 pages. This is how much data we have to contend with and the variety of data, because this is only structured text for the most part. Most EMRs do not include images, diagnostics, sensor data, audio, video, but these are all part of the patient experience. Every time you go to your provider, you are having a conversation. Hopefully you're having a conversation, and that is audio. Every time that you see a chart, you see an x-ray, that is images, that can be video. None of that is being captured, and all of that is part of the voice of the patient. The third problem is a velocity problem, how fast the data is coming at us. Remember, 120 zettabytes of data coming from these sensors, but these sensors require us to act in near real time. It is absolutely no use to review cardiac data a week later. You need to be reviewing it within milliseconds, and so we need systems that can track and identify anomalies as they happen across 120 zettabytes worth of data. And the fourth problem is veracity. How true is our data? We have a very difficult balance right now between privacy and outcomes. Patients want good outcomes. Institutions want good outcomes, right? The government wants good outcomes in healthcare. We are required to report on it. We are required to collect data on it. But the consumer also does not want their privacy violated. We saw this year with Facebook, now with Google, with every tech company. They're having to pull back. How many people enjoyed the raft of emails you got on May 25th saying, my privacy policy has been updated, right? Consumers have greater expectations of privacy, and that creates holes in our data that make inferences and computation of outcomes more difficult. How do we solve this? If we don't solve this, by the way, we will end up with some catastrophically bad results in healthcare. And unlike marketing, I'm from the marketing world. If I screw up, I might lose 3 or 5% of revenue. If healthcare screws up, you start killing people, right? And that is a really, really, really bad thing. This is why I did not go into healthcare as a profession. How do we fix this problem? How do we go from being overwhelmed to actually getting an outcome we want, to getting all of the outcomes that we want? The answer, unsurprisingly, is artificial intelligence. It is indeed why we're sitting here in the room today. Artificial intelligence has 3 major promises, 3 things that it does really well. The first is acceleration. It does stuff faster. When you look at computational power over the last 25 years, Moore's Law is more or less holding up. We can process data far faster with machines than we can with humans. And as machines get smarter, they process and make smarter decisions faster. The second benefit is accuracy. When you look at that chart, for example, of an EMR's internals, when you look at all of the data you're collecting, when you're thinking about the 120 zettabytes, there is no way for you as a human to process even a tiny fraction of that. Even if you tried, you would be making a legion of mistakes. Machines can fix that. The third is automation, the alleviation of repetitive stuff. Out of curiosity, just show of hands, how many people here are on the provider side? Okay, payer side and patient side. Everyone should have their hands up. You're all patients. Wouldn't it be nice when we're interacting with payers, when we're interacting with providers as patients, to spend less time on administration, to spend less time waiting for them to do their paperwork, and more time actually talking to us about what's wrong? This is the promise of artificial intelligence in healthcare, the ability for us to now free up time so that we can focus on the most important things. Let's level set a bit. What is artificial intelligence? It is the creation of machines and software and technology that replicates what human beings do naturally. If you can hear the sound of my voice and distinguish it from the noise around you, you're using language processing. If you can see me and distinguish me from what's behind me on this stage, you're using vision. We grow up with these things. We don't think about them, but we have to build them into our machines. And as machines evolve, they will progress further down here. This is Harvard's chart on how humans develop. By the way, as a parent of a teenager, I appreciate that higher cognitive function goes down as they hit their teenage years. Artificial intelligence is mostly categorized by the term machine learning. Unlike software, where you write the software and the software spits out the data, like a word processor, you use the software, data comes out. It's reversed in artificial intelligence. We feed it data, and it writes its own software, and then does the thing. Machine learning is mostly math and statistics. How many people love math? A few of you. I appreciate the gentleman from IBM saying yes. That's good. And there's a whole bunch of different techniques, but essentially at the end of the day, machine learning is math, statistics, and probability. It is very, very straightforward stuff. Let's say you have a table full of blocks like this. What are some machine learning categories of techniques you could use to figure out what these blocks are? The first is called supervised learning, where we say, hey, machine, this is the color red, and you show this picture and pictures like this hundreds, thousands, millions of times until the machine can recognize that's the color red. Got it. And then every new picture you show it can identify that's the color red. We see supervised learning most famously in things like oncology, when IBM Watson did an analysis of a woman with leukemia in Tokyo. She was getting worse. Her outcomes were not progressing, and IBM fed her genome plus 233,000 journals of oncology to Watson, said, figure it out. Here's the supervised task. This is the outcome we want. Figure it out. Watson figured out they were treating the wrong type of leukemia. They had the wrong diagnosis, and they fixed it, and she actually made a full recovery. What's interesting about this was not that Watson did that, but that Watson did that in 11 minutes. The second category is unsupervised learning, where we say, hey, machine, what's in the box? Now, we could categorize these blocks by things like colors and shapes. That's pretty easy for you to do, unless there's a billion of them. Right? If this entire room were filled with blocks, there's absolutely no way you're sorting them in a reasonable amount of time. But machines can. They can just categorize by all the different dimensions. We see this, for example, shape, size, color, all that stuff. We see this happening right now today in pharmaceuticals, where instead of having just a few tests in a spot plate, you have a spot plate that's 100,000 or 200,000 rows wide, and you run every possible combination of a drug in it, and then you have cameras above it, and it takes pictures of every single cell, and a machine categorizes and looks at all the different outcomes on the spot plate and says, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one are all similar, and there's something interesting to look at there. And so unsupervised learning helps us categorize massive amounts of medical data. The third category is what's called deep learning, and this is where we're just taking lots of machine learning techniques, supervised and unsupervised, and gluing them together over and over again until you get this very long, deep stack of stuff. This is where we're starting to see things like computational chemistry occurring, where people are using machines to simulate chemical outcomes, trying to simulate what happens when a drug enters your system. What can AI do and not do? Today, and this is only valid for today, tomorrow may have completely different news, but AI is really good at what we call the known knowns. When you know what you're after, and when you know you have the data, AI can deliver that accuracy, that acceleration, that alleviation of boring stuff. If you don't know what you know, or you know what you don't know, that's more of a data science function. You're now starting to do exploration. You're trying to figure out how do you solve for those unknowns to make them knowns, and then you can use AI to boost your power there. AI is profoundly unhelpful in the unknown unknowns. When you don't know what you don't know, that's where pure research is still the vanguard. And there's things AI can do tactically in that category, but for the most part, this is still largely human-driven. So congratulations, we all still have careers. So let's look at 4 practical applications of these different technologies. This is the voice of the patient today. The voice of the patient today is a massive spider web. It used to just be this. You talk to your doctor, right? That's literally the voice of the patient. It's very straightforward and simple. But now we have EHRs and EMRs. We have social media. We have reviews. Believe it or not, people leave reviews of healthcare facilities on places like Yelp. I don't know why. I don't know that you would choose your dialysis by how many stars they got on Yelp, but people do. External conversations, support and advocacy groups, both online and offline. Search data. People search for things in Google they would never ask another human being. Consumer medical technology, like these lovely watches and things, and of course the Internet of Things and the Internet of Medical Things. All of this together is the modern voice of the patient, and if we're not taking into account all of this, we're missing part of what the patient is about. So how do we use AI technology to start making some of this make more sense? We're going to look at driver analysis, time series forecasting, unstructured data, and conversation. In driver analysis, this is an example. I took 411,000 911 calls from the city of Baltimore and classified them, the ones that were medical, removed the ones that were non-medical, and we're taking a look at by sector of the city. What were the most likely cases? How do we cluster these things together? What you would do with this information, like in the Northwest sector, behavior crisis is the most common thing out of this massive puddle of data. In the Eastern District, mental case. In the Western District, behavior crisis. AEDs in the Southwest. If you are working with the city of Baltimore, with EMS there, this tells you, hey, this is what you should probably be prepared for most. When an ambulance goes out, this is what you need to have. If you're going, for example, to the North District, you better have a whole bunch of Narcan ready, because that's one of the major problems. On the other hand, if you're going to Southwest, you better have your AED fully charged and ready to go. Driver analysis helps us identify this is what's likely to happen. Time series forecasting. This is a fun one. I took 3,600 search terms because no one ever searches for healthcare. People search for disease states. People search for conditions. So there's 3,600 conditions projected forward over the next 52 weeks to figure out when are people going to search for things. This week, right now, Jardiance. People are searching for the side effects of Jardiance. I don't know why, but they are. Wouldn't it be great if you were a provider, if you were a payer, and especially as a patient, to know, hey, these are the things I need to prepare for that my patients might be asking me about, that I should have some answers to. In just 2 weeks, doxycycline hyclate becomes the top search term. Why? Well, it's an antibiotic that is most commonly prescribed to treat acne. We're back to school. So you can see, even in just a very short amount of time, by doing forecasting of what people search for, we can understand the patient better and be able to provide better patient outcomes. The third example, unstructured text mining, looking through lots of data. I went out and found 1,100 views of Fresenius dialysis centers on Yelp and downloaded them all and said, okay, what are the words that people use to describe their experiences at Fresenius? They have things like diagnosis. They have really interesting terms like wonderful, smart, grateful. If I was running these facilities, as I was running this company, these are things that I would care very much to know about, because it says people are happy with the results they're getting. Also, I would want to run a negative sentiment one to see what people were not happy about so I could fix it. Again, if we can tell from what people are willingly volunteering at scale on the internet about their patient experiences, we can improve their outcomes. And finally, conversations. How many of you are currently using chatbots? Okay, nobody. Well, there's kind of like a little hat. If you're doing any kind of intake, if you're doing any kind of evaluation, if you're trying to get a sense of what somebody cares about, a chatbot is one of the easiest ways to have that available 24/7. It is not going to replace the front line by any means, but it's a way of getting supplemental data from people. It requires no coding. This is one I built in 4 minutes on Facebook's chat platforms that was super simple. Where's the nearest hospital? That was all I programmed it to do and tied it to some search results. Again, if you're a provider, you probably want to be able to say, hey, here are the things, here's when we're open, be able to talk to consumers. Another great example, this is the Otter app. It is transcribing in real time what I say. Now, this is just a demo. But imagine you've got a patient in the office and you're having a conversation with them. Wouldn't it be great to be able to have this running with their consent, and transcribing the actual conversation and having that go right into the EHR? That way you're capturing the nuance of what the patient is saying. And even further, if you did this for every single patient that was seen, you could start to see trends. Hey, a whole bunch of people lately have been talking about being bitten by mosquitoes. Do we have a West Nile problem? Your system could know this if you were capturing that data. The most important thing with AI is to start right now because there is tremendous first mover advantage. Remember, machine learning is built on data. The sooner you're collecting data and using it, the greater advantage you have. How do you get started? 2 basics. If you don't have time, if you want results right now and you have budget, hire someone to do it. If, on the other hand, you have time but you don't have budget, learn it. Build it yourself. Everything that I've shown in this demonstration today has been run on my laptop by code I've made with open source software. R and Python are the 2 programming languages. It'll take you 6 to 12 months to learn how to program, and then probably another 6 to 12 months to learn the data science behind it. But if you have time and no money, this is a great way to accelerate your career. How do you prepare your company for artificial intelligence? You need 3 kinds of people. I love the expression data is the new oil, because if you've ever worked with crude oil, it's disgusting, it's goopy, it stains everything, and doesn't really do anything except make thick black smoke when it burns, right? It needs to be extracted, refined, and then given to consumers so they can do something useful with it. Machine learning is no different. You need developers to extract data from those systems. Remember that EHR table? That table's not going to analyze itself. You need to pull all that data out, structure it for analysis with data scientists, and then have technologists turn that data into useful insights. This could all conceivably be one person in your company. It's probably more of a team, especially if you're a larger company. There's probably teams of people in each of these areas, but these are the roles that you need in your company. And how do you prepare your career for AI? Learn how to do it, but more importantly, double down on the things that it's bad at. AI is bad at empathy. It's bad at judgment. It's terrible at understanding big picture life experience, and it is terrible at relationships. Nobody that I know of is willing to say, yeah, I would love to be poked and prodded only by a machine and have no human physician anymore. It's like, hey, machine, where's that probe going? So these are the things that AI is really, really bad at and will be for some time. So you want to double down in your career on the things that you're good at as a human. This is the journey to AI. You need that data foundation. Then you start measuring stuff, understanding your KPIs, building your research capabilities, automating processes with or without AI. Then you build your data science capabilities, you build your machine learning capabilities, and you deploy it. Now, this is obviously a very, very surface view of a very long process. But if you don't even have your data, you're going to have a very bad time. So make sure that you've got that solidly in place. AI is the future. It's already here. It's already usable. If, however, you want to be deploying it, make sure that you're learning these technologies and you're learning the landscape. What you can do with it is beyond imagination. It's only going to get better as time goes on. And with that, thank you very much.
If you want help with your company's data and analytics, visit BrainTrustInsights.com today and let us know how we can help you.